country lanes. Rideshare Rodeo eases pains, sharing wisdom bit by bit, turning hustle into wit. 3 years strong, his voice rides high, guiding gig folk far and nigh. Cheers to Steve, let's raise a toast. Rideshare Rodeo, coast to coast. He's the cowboy of the rides, navigating daily tides. With his guidance we feel free, rolling on eternally. Through each podcast, night and day, Steve lights up the winding way. Gigs feel less like work alone, 'cause his tips have surely shown. 3 years strong, his voice rides high, guiding gig folk far and nigh. Cheers to Steve, let's raise a toast. Rideshare Rodeo, coast to coast. He's the cowboy of the rides, navigating daily tides. With his guidance we feel free, rolling on eternally. Through each podcast, night and day, Steve lights up the winding way. Gigs feel less like work alone, 'cause his tips have surely shown. 3 years strong, his voice rides high, guiding gig folk far and nigh. Cheers to Steve, let's raise a toast. Rideshare Rodeo, coast to coast. Rideshare Rodeo, coast to coast.
Oops. Whoa. What is that up there? Well, that is what, I didn't mean for that to happen, but before I take it down, take a screenshot, make sure you note this. This is going to be, we'll touch on it a little bit tonight. You guys have heard me already talk about this, but this is a very important podcast that will be upcoming. That said, what's up, everybody? I was like, why won't it go off? It's really weird. I always have two running when I run StreamYard. So I'm also running over here. And this is StreamYard and this is YouTube. And somehow, I don't even know how this happens because everything's going through this. This is ahead of my StreamYard. Maybe you guys are seeing it too. I don't know. Somebody you're seeing the future. You're seeing 2 seconds into the future of the podcast. And I don't even know what is going on. But anyway, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is episode, geez, what is it? 525. 525. Episode 525. We got so many good ones coming up, you guys. I'm so stoked about so many different things we got going. What's up, Traveler? What's up, Lynn? What's up, Sue? What's up, Drain Swamp? I don't know your name, bro. I'm so sorry. I don't think I've ever caught it. But 2 for 1 or you're not my friend. All right. Is that like you mean like a bar thing? I used to run bars and stuff. 2 for 1. Okay. Or not sure what that is. What's up, Josh? Josh is like, who is this on this? Oh, okay, Jeff. What's up, Jeff? Who is this on the screen? What's up, Josh? Josh ditched me by the way, guys. Josh and I are doing a little thing. So I guess I'm going to start. Let me start tonight with something that I really wanted to get out there anyway. It's quick, and then we'll get into some things. But there's some changes coming in the new year. Obviously, you guys know that this week and next week we have a roundtable, and then everybody knows, been doing this for years. The roundtable is ending, but is it ending? Also, guys, bear with my voice. It is better than last week, but I have been sicker than a dog, and I had a sinus infection that went with it. But I'm getting over it. But so on let me get to Thursdays. So Thursdays are the roundtable every week. We're gonna get through the next 2 weeks. Then we always take the Christmas break. But coming back into the new year, Thursdays will be a live YouTube thing because some things are going to change. I'm kind of, I'm in so many platforms. And the biggest platform that I'm on, many of you aren't. And I really wanted to get you guys on that tonight, or tell you guys at least that you should be. You can listen to it anywhere you want. But if you listen to it through Podbean, you can have just a phone. You don't need a microphone. You don't need headphones. There's no video. And sometimes I do lives on there, and people are slowly moving over to there. What came from there to here on YouTube, because that was first, I had a lot more live people, and that's an unregulated space. And I say this because I was mentioning something about Josh. Josh and I are doing a live thing on Friday nights on TikTok, and then I go do Friday night live um, on the Podbean app. The Podbean app is the only app and platform I don't have to worry about, because I can say anything I want. It's unregulated. I mean, I can't say, you can't threaten somebody's life, can't threaten your own life. I mean, the basic P's and Q's of just, life. You can't cross those lines. But it's not like, this platform doesn't allow this platform doesn't allow this. We've all become accustomed that YouTube's one that changes often, but you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. They've gotten better. But still, it's hard to follow all those platforms. I was mentioning that because Josh and I, Josh B, who's in the chat, on TikTok, do a lot. We've only done it a couple times, but it's a cool thing. It's kind of like a wrap up of the week. How'd we do? Did we earn? What did we like about apps? What did we not like about apps? And this week, I was really shocked because TikTok, I've been on it for a long time, and I have changed with it every time it's gone through a big change. A TikTok change has not been like YouTube updates. A TikTok change has almost been like a complete flip of the script every time they do it. So it's like, you guys, only shorts. Okay, we don't like shorts anymore. Okay? Or we do, but they don't matter. We now accept long form. Up to how much? 10 minutes, then 15. Then it was 30. So now I can upload up to 30. We don't like lives, but you can do the long forms and still do shorts. Okay. We want you to do lives. Lives are the big thing now. So I'm trying to, I'm always trying to follow it. But Josh and I do this thing, and I was blown away, you guys. I mean, like, we were literally in the beginning stages of the discussion this week. The first, I don't even know, 3-4 minutes. And it's not a strike. I mean, you can get strikes on TikTok, but it wasn't a strike. But I got a community guideline thing that basically even tells you've been pulled out of the, it's basically saying you've been pulled out of the feed that you would normally be put in. And the people we wanted that we were going to help you push this out to aren't going to see it because of, and I can't even remember what the reason was. It was like bad mouthing, or, like you're talking about, and literally at the point when it came up on my screen, so it lets you continue the live, and we did. We had Black Car Trent with us too. What up, Trent? But it came up, and then at that point, I had to even say to Josh, what have we talked about that could even be a problem? So the only things that we had talked about were there was something in the very beginning, but that couldn't have done it. And then the only other thing that we were talking about was Josh had asked me about Aspen, Colorado. And I told him why we wouldn't go to Aspen of all the places, because none of you in the chat, I don't think, none of us, and I've lived out here for a long time. I backcountry, I snowboard 33 years plus, search and rescue, the whole works, right? None of us can afford one town in Colorado as far as winter towns go. That town is Aspen. Well, that's what Josh asked me about. So all we were doing was talking about the hotel prices in Aspen, a thing that while we were talking about it, you could have checked on hotels.com or any travel apps and said, look, hey, I found a hotel. It's the best price one I can find, $3,200 a night. Like we weren't. I wasn't even like being mean and joking though. I was being honest with what a hotel room looks like there. It's not cheap. Um, but I guess that got a strike, and I was really surprised because TikTok used to be the one that people went to because they could get away with more. Again, the only place it's not get away with either. I don't know the right wording, but the only place that I have since the beginning, and it was the place I started. The only place that I can truly talk and not go, oh, which platform is this? Did I just break something? Am I going to be in trouble? What's this? The only platform I can do that on is Podbean. So you guys can listen to the audio podcast because it's getting bigger numbers than ever. I've been saying 2,000 plus for a while per week, but the last 30 days that I did, and I'll even post it in a community post, my stats from Podbean. But the last 30 days, there was 9,800 downloads. So at 10,000, that would have been 2,500 a week. So it's going up. And a lot of people listen to the audio podcast because it's just something a little different. So check it out. If you want, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio. You can go to ridesharerodeo.com, not need an app, and just listen to it on the internet if you want. You can download it from the internet, from my website for free. Don't have to set up an account, nothing. Or you can download Podbean, and if you want, you can be part of the action. Again, you don't need a mic, you don't need a headset, nothing. You just, when we're live, just go in there and it says touch a button to call in, and you use the phone. And if you're wondering, yeah, but how good does that sound or whatever, it actually is made for that. It doesn't want you using mics and all that. The Podbean Live app takes audio and really makes it solid. It's an audio only. But come over and check it out. We do some, do some fun talks over there. And the unregulated part is sweet because I hate it when something comes up on the screen. Or let's say this, maybe it doesn't come up on the screen sometimes and you still get throttled or whatever you want to call it, and you don't know about it. So at least I was happy for that portion of it. Like TikTok was telling us right there in the stream, you're still live. People will still see it, but we've had to reduce the audience size because you're telling too many truths about the price of going to Aspen. Like, I don't even know what it was. So anyway, on Thursdays, and then we'll move up. So on Thursdays in the new year, I will be doing the audio podcast every Tuesday. It drops. So I usually record Monday. It'll be on Podbean when I'm recording the audio podcast. It's just a different animal, and we get down to a lot. And it'll also be doing, we'll also be talking about phase 2 and helping people in phase 1. That government shutdown threw us for a curveball, but we are coming back to the cause, and we need to keep on the elected officials. Just like, I mean, we're already in touch with some. Gary's in touch with his now multiple times. I'm in touch with other people. I got Sean from the Drivers Co-op here. He's been on the podcast a couple times. He has some ties. So we're really like outreaching. And then I have all the ties of the people who are independent contractor people who always help, the Mike Karubis, Kim Cavins, Karen Andersons, John Lopez, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other people. And I'm sorry for that because I love all you guys. But that's going to all happen on the audio podcast. If there's something I think I need to bring over here because it's related to something new with that, I just don't want you guys thinking that it's broken record stuff. So the way YouTube will look in the new year, it will have, I'm sure I'll bring some portions of audio over, but every Thursday night, something will happen. Now, will it be roundtable? No. It's going to be one of 4 things every week. So there's 4 shows. You guys know all of them too. And I'm always trying to squeeze them in. So instead, this is what I get to do. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. So every Thursday, there will be something on Thursday night on YouTube. It will be The Conversation, which I've only done 9 episodes of. But if you guys have seen it and you've seen it live, that is a favorite of mine because it's a one-on-one. Like the last one I did was with UDM. This is a great one. It was one-on-one with me and UDM about 1 or 2 topics, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like we cover that, we get through it. I had Levi Spires on. If you guys don't know Levi, big rideshare driver, great guy, and we got into autonomous and the reality of it. So I mean, like it's like one topic, we get through it. Gary's been on it. It's always been good. Those are fun. I love those. So every Thursday will be the conversation, or it will be roundtable. So if I need, and it won't be a set group of people, it won't be. It always has to be 5 or 6 people, like I try and do. It could be that I need these 2 people or these 3 people to make this a roundtable, and then if I can get them, that will be a roundtable. So when you see roundtable, it'll be totally different people anytime, and it will be because those people are brought in around that subject. Or it'll be last mile, or it will be beyond the algorithm. And if and when I do beyond the algorithms, they're going to be really fun deep dives. I've already been looking into some things. I know that Hannibal and I did a great season of it, and then Hannibal helped me kick off that short season too. But this is going to be a little different. This is going to be like I dive into one specific way of earning non-traditional W-2 employment. Independent contractor could be from your house, could be from your car, could be at a location. I don't know. But it will be something that you are not taking on the position of a W-2 employee, and another option for your arsenal or streams of income. So you're going to get the conversation, roundtable, last mile, or beyond the algorithm every Thursday. Each Thursday will be based on what that week has to offer. If that week is the best week for the conversation, or that's what I've planned, but I think it's going to be awesome, because I think it's going to allow me to make every week perfect for that week. I mean, roundtables are great. I know everybody loves them, but they're a lot of work, and they're a lot of work to juggle everybody and make sure people are here. And so this week we got Kim, we got Gary, Tom Kelly. We kind of got the old schoolers. And then we have one more week left, and then we'll be taking the Christmas break that we always take. So that, and get on the audio podcast, guys. So, okay, first, yeah, why not? Let's get it all in there. You guys, Maximo, do you know it? Do you not know it? Gary's apps. Do I have the Gary's? Let's run the Gary's apps banner. Assistant. Just kidding. I don't have an assistant. Right down there, you guys. Check it out. Gary'sApps.com. You'll be rerouted to MiddletonTech.com or technologies.com. When you get there, check it out. There are a couple that are iPhone accessible, and he's working on making them all iPhone accessible. However, if you have an Android, you need to go check out Gary's apps. I know there's another company out doing some of the things that Gary does, but not everything Gary does. So in all honesty, Gary's the old OG of the space, and Gary has more features than anything out there. So Gary and I have talked about this a cajillion times, but in case you haven't heard it, again, Gary'sApps.com. You can read about it all on that single page. It's got Flex Alert, you got Maximo, you got DUH, Yak is new. Yeah, I guess Yak's more of one for me, but Maximo and DUH are the 2 biggest ones I think he's got going as far as, and Maximo's like his baby, his first one. So filtering apps, making sure you're safe, showing you that, like you set your parameters. That doesn't mean it ignores everything. You have different ways that you can set this up. You can set it up so that you don't want to see him, or so that you at least do want to see him, but, to give you a color coding and say, yeah, show it as red if it doesn't meet these criteria for payment and per mile, and however you want to set it up. There's thousands of different, you can keep it pretty simple, or you can get as in-depth as you want with the settings on the app. So check out Gary'sApps.com, guys. We always started with they're a safety app, but they're much more than a safety app. They also are a filtering app to help you best optimize your time. And especially, I know not everybody does, but especially those of you that do rideshare and delivery and whatnot, we all know that delivery gives you a certain amount of time to look at an offer or whatever, but rideshare gives you even less, oddly, which makes no sense. And it always seems to know when you're in an intersection. So to have these presets done is like to have a virtual assistant in your phone. So check it out. I'll leave that running there for a little bit. Let me see if anybody has. I see Josh is in here. I did not ditch you. He did. I know you were working. Trent and I kept talking for a little bit, but then I was like, I wanted to get into those analytics, Josh, and see why did you throttle us, or why? Again, I actually went back, and you know how it's not public domain, but you can listen to it. I listened to it, and I didn't understand anything that we did. We didn't do anything wrong. I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed because I had never had a warning from TikTok like that before. Let's see. Oh, that's strengths because the yeah, but so I saw you said that, but that guy that you're talking of, that the strike thing came up before Trent joined us, and we didn't even start talking about that until Trent joined. Just saying. Hey Rick, what's up, buddy? Hey Traveler, and I think I said hi to everybody else. Hey Ellen, how are you? And yeah, if you guys missed it, I did bring over for just a minute, and then I had to make it members only because there was a song in there that, again, in the unregulated space, I can do different things. So I had to make it members then. But it was to show you guys to get over to the Podbean side. And again, you don't need to listen to Podbean. You can, and in fact, you don't need to listen to any app. But if you have Spotify, they're all on there. But you can just go to ridesharerodeo.com. You can download it. You can play it streaming off there. And so that one is like, there you go. You can hear anything that I'm doing. And I say that because people ask sometimes, what about this? What about this? What about you do this thing on TikTok? You do this thing on YouTube. Everything ends up on Podbean, which ends up on every pod player in the world. So or ridesharerodeo.com, that has all of the podcasts. Everything I do ends up there, no matter what platform it comes from. So if you're looking to find everything, there it is. And except for 13, but starting in the new year, 13 will be going there. I'm just going to make it a bonus podcast so it's not labeled in the numbers. There we go. What's up, Brandon? Happy to have you on board. Now we're going to get into some stuff here. So I want to talk about because we did it on the live podcast on Friday night, but I want to talk about these glitches. I just want to get it out of the way. I think it's stupid. I don't use them. Maybe I don't use them because I'm an iPhone. I could use the Uber Eats one, but I think it's stupid that they're even talked about. In my opinion, again, I know I live in Colorado. I know that closest to the pin for me gets it. Your status on any of the apps doesn't matter anymore. It's just a trick for newbies and people who believe that that stuff matters. And in some markets, it damn well does, and we know why. One of the only reason that I really hear from people that I can resonate with, I don't like it, and it's still completely illegal, is that I can't get on DoorDash unless I stay platinum, aluminum, 80% plus, whatever, on AR. Now, you guys know me. I don't believe in the metrics, never have. I've always been a low AR. I wasn't even ever a top dasher. I just didn't do it. Why? Because the first day that I started DoorDash, again, I was doing other apps. I've always done other apps. Started with rideshare, and then I prefer B2B space, but I was doing other things. So, and I have other streams of income too, like production work and whatnot. But I just never did it. And when I started was when David was doing before Para, when David was doing his first project, and him and I met in May of 2020 through a NBC New York article written by an author who knew me and had heard about something David was doing. So David and I met. We started doing some, autonomy.jobs was David's original project. So we started doing some stuff together and working with some software I had never worked with. So I was having a lot of fun. Then he said, I'm going to start Para. Within weeks of starting Para, and he brought me in. So it was me, David, Jimmy, who you guys have all met many times, and Jeff Tang. And Jeff was the coder, the original first and only coder. And so Jeff was the one that tripped and fell into tip transparency for DoorDash. Were we scraping the API? Yes. Are you supposed to do that? No. But I'm a traditional independent contractor, and the law states that we have to be shown all the details up front. So what it's like I guess it would be like it's two wrongs make a right type scenario, but I never felt like that. I always felt like David put it, the second time that we got a cease and desist from DoorDash. I've been through the ringer with this stupid company so many times, but when David got the second cease and assist for Para, the first time we just immediately shut it down. We had way too many users and they were watching the growth. The second time was the time where David said, let's get a lawyer. So David hired a very expensive attorney who had been up against DoorDash before. Did we think we were going to win? No. But he was hoping to get enough news, and it did happen. What he wanted to do, he accomplished with some of the Para money by getting a lot of news on a very real story that DoorDash did not want to, because they were immediately with second cease and desist, take it down. We got a meeting with them and our lawyer, and David in that meeting, they had said, take it down by next Monday, and that's it. Never put it up again. And we know, it was like a Thursday or whatever. And David had said, he said, I'll take it down tomorrow, but I'll definitely have it down by Monday as long as you guys show complete transparency. And they didn't give a yes/no answer, but they ended the meeting very abruptly with our lawyers, and they were very pissed off. So that was from then, that Wednesday or whatever it was, until the next Monday, was hitting up every press we could and getting all the press on it that we could. And it really showed a lot of the scumbaggery that DoorDash pulls on a daily basis. Absolutely. None of us are unfamiliar with this. Bubba Sue says one of her favorite words is scumbaggery, which I dubbed many years ago about this stupid company. And you know what? It's true. People have said, but Uber's just as bad. Yeah, but I got to see as they say, like, do you want to see the sausage made? We went beyond seeing the sausage made into the other room, into the slaughterhouse type deal before the links are being made. So we got to really see how scummy DoorDash is. And it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing to know. I mean, that's when we learned that they had more coders to hide information from drivers than they did to maintain and build out the app. So in 2021, 2022, DoorDash at one of its highest peaks decided we need more here. We need coders to build the app and maintain the app. We need more coders than that to hide as much information and deceive restaurant partners, customers, and drivers as possible. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think any of you who have been around the block a few times are going to be shocked by that. That should not shock you at all. That's DoorDash, guys. That's what they do. They literally have teams that are there to make. Well, they might be seeing this. Well, find a way to hide it. It's scumbaggery. So anyway, second round. And hopefully we'll circle back to Big Red F. But I wanted to bring up something here because on the audio podcast, I was talking about something. And I was talking about the Uber Eats glitch. And I had a guest on who ended up talking about the DoorDash glitch. And I'm not talking about the old DoorDash glitch. And I kept thinking to myself, like somebody put in the comments, like, should you be talking about this? And my comment back was, screw these companies. And yeah, I should be talking about it. If it's like the Uber Eats one, if it's been out there for over a year, guess what? They don't care about it. And I can say this because most people can't say this. You guys all know that when the transparency stuff was going into effect here, they used my podcast. Stephanie and my conversations, Stephanie Vigil, who was a House member at the time here in Colorado, they used those on the when passing the bills about transparency. When they tried to pass the bill that I was against, the Uber must have a camera in your car here in Colorado, and they'll hold the data. And I was like, geez, Uber can't hold it together for 2 seconds. They're not gonna, I don't want them holding any more data of mine, or yeah. And I got my own dash cam. I'm good. But anyway, that lost, luckily. But on the Senate floor, when Uber was challenging that, they quoted my podcast again. Now, so in multiple different cases, if you go into the full caseload, you will find Rideshare Rodeo Podcast quoted and used many times or multiple times in those cases. So, I mean, I'm well aware with how their lobbyists work. I've met a couple of their lobbyists over here at the State House. They don't give a shit about these glitches. And not to say these lobbyists and I were like blatantly talking about the glitches. I just know they don't care. And if you're wondering, like, well, why wouldn't they care? Like, think of it this way. Gary could probably give a better breakdown on this than I could, but think of it this way. They have this node that they're like, shit, this happened and there's this glitch. And they say, well, what do we need to do? And the team comes back and says, well, it's like operating. To get to that glitch, we need to rebuild this entire third of the app. If we do that, these 4 things will have effect into this part of the app. So we might need to rebuild the middle portion, potentially the whole. It's almost like you got to rebuild the whole app. Some glitches you can fix, some you can't. And trust me, I'm always blown away when people are like, no, people don't know. Really? People on YouTube are talking about it. Thousands of people use these and they don't know about it. You really think that? If you really think that, you really need to think about it, because of course they know about it. Of course they know. What did Brandon say here? Is why I call it door trash. They're an awful company. Yeah, I know. But so the glitches, the Uber Eats one, look, I'm just saying it because I already put it out there. I don't really care. I don't care. And to the people going, well, dude, people don't know. They do know. I've talked to they know. They know. They don't care. They're trying to deal with, how are we going to pay Incognia, who I've had on this podcast, their CEO, who's now handling their mass data fraud departments and their integration of knowing our devices, device tracking. Because that's a bigger part of the layering system of being the security for these apps. And I've had people say, well, so what? Incognia, obviously these are their biggest clients because they have DoorDash and Uber and Grubhub now. I'm like, not even close. Like 7 or 8 of the world's 25 biggest banks, they do the security for. So no, this is not their biggest clients. But so like with Uber, look, if you know, if you do rideshare and Uber Eats, they're on one app, right? They're on one app. And if you go into Uber rideshare and you hit pets only, and if you have Uber Eats on, and if it's surging for the rideshare, then you'll get a surge on your Uber Eats. There you go. Boom. Oh, easy. Done. If you know, you know. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, if you don't, ask somebody else and they'll tell you. Because if you don't know, if you ask 2, 3 other people, one of them will know. Probably 2, but maybe only one will tell you. But it's time we just start putting it. They don't care. So I'm not saying use these glitches. Again, I could do that one because Uber Eats, iPhone, I could do this. Um, so Josh says, I don't know about the. So, Josh, one thing that I think I heard, because I don't do it, but I do know it worked for over a year. But one thing that might be the case now is you have to have Uber X on too, if that makes sense. You would have to have Uber X and Uber Pet or something and Uber Eats. It still works, but it might be a different system and hit your AR harder on the rideshare side. But I think that you're like me, Josh. I don't think you really care about your Uber AR. So in which case, who cares? Uh, oh yeah, not black. You can't do black, not black either. It has to be Uber X. Uh, but the other one is the DoorDash app, and there's a look, there's the audio podcast I just did, so that I don't have to regurgitate the whole thing because it's somebody else told it, not me. But it involves data. In fact, Bubba Sue's in there. She's heard both the podcasts. I'll let her put the comments in on how you do it. That one seems to be an Android thing. Not sure, but I think it's just an Android thing because of some of the commands I was hearing that I know wouldn't relate to an iPhone. Again, I'm iPhone only. So, but I'm not telling you guys to do it. And then I'm going to put out the last thing that I talked about on Friday Night Live too, because another thing I don't want you doing, but everything's a joke. Because and exactly, Josh, that's how I feel too. If I had an Android, it's too much work. I don't care. I don't care because I now know in my market, especially, why do I need to keep my AR up? Literally, there is no reason. I never could dash now with under 10% acceptance rate. I can dash now anytime I can dash now right now. Betcha. uh and I would never have this. You got to schedule, like light years out. Yep. I can dash now, right now. So, that would have never happened on a Monday night ever in the last year or two. I had to schedule a week out to get a 2-hour shift on Friday that I would put on a video. So, and you guys know me. DoorDash and Uber Eats are not my main income stream. They're like 5% of my income at the end of the year at best. So I don't give a shit. I really don't. But I used to do the para thing. That worked great. That was one that I did do. In fact, David and my phone were the first 2 to connect to it to try and make sure it worked after Jeff said, no, it works. Okay, sure. Whoop. Oh, yep, it works. So I did participate in that. I don't care. I have an iPhone. It worked, and they should be transparent. I wouldn't want to do any of this now. I also don't think the hidden tips are anything to write home about ever anymore. The plus sign that came about, you guys do a lot more of it than I do, but the plus sign now and all that, that's all just another joke. Like, what, you get an extra 5 cents, maybe an extra, at best, sometimes a $10 bill, but like 25 cents is what you're getting extra on those pluses. So luckily we don't have them here anymore in Colorado because they have to be transparent. But there's a DoorDash glitch too. It involves turning the data off. Oh yeah. So Bubba Sue just put it there, and I think that's for Android users, you guys. But because when I was hearing it, I was hearing some things that we don't see on the iPhone side. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that as well. And what's the time I got? Perfect. Okay, so also state by state transparency. We were doing this. We were moving along. We've got like six states we've written to now. They're up on my Discord. You can go and read the ones that we filed. or that we've emailed off to people that are like our transparency laws here. Gary's moved on his. Torp did one in Kentucky. James did one in Detroit for Michigan. We had one done in Connecticut. Brian Kern, Have It Your Way, did one for Pennsylvania. Who am I forgetting? We had a North Carolina one. We're doing these. But when the government shutdown happened, we were just about to move to stage 2, and there was really no reason, because even once they got back from the government shutdown, which we all know went way too long, they get so backlogged. So now it's with the holidays and everything they were backlogged from, letting them catch up. It'll be like in the first week or the second week of the new year, we're going to get those back out there again. State phase 1, but also we're going to move on to phase 2. For those that have already submitted, we're going to get a little more, not mean, but a little more pushy. And I know how to do it without being a jerk, because we did it here. And I did it under the guidance of Stephanie Vigil, House member, and Senator, and the senator who helped us here, Priola. He stepped in during, about halfway through when we did the town hall. He showed up. We got him involved. And so I had them as sounding boards. So not only do I know how they need to be broken apart for each state, I know why, and I know how it needs to be discussed. Like, I would have come at it differently than I would now helping any other state, knowing what Stephanie, but especially what Senator Priola here in Colorado kind of told us. It was almost like it was above our pay grade. Like, I don't know. I'm not a politician, and I had no idea what. And he kind of gave me what people need to hear on this. A lot of it was money related and how little is needed to do this versus the other options. So we'll move on to that in January. Now, I want to give you guys, I used Uber Eats. Let's see this. I'm sorry. Do you think the state approach is better than petitioning the DOL? So Kim Cavan already petitioned the DOL, along with many others. SaveIndependentWork.org. Fight for freelancers. Freelancers against AB5, even though they're out in California, they're part of this. John Lopez's group in Chicago. A lot of groups that fought the PRO Act on a federal level, also already petitioned the DOL. We've already been dealing with that, and nothing is going to happen on the federal level except for potentially the Rand Paul, Louisiana legislator. I'm trying to blank on his name. Him, Rand Paul, and another guy have a bill out about portable benefits. Portable benefits will not save our lives, but they would be a nice little perk. And that could happen on a federal level. Everything else, I can tell you, in 2026, everything else will happen on state levels. So if your question is the approach better? Yes, because it's the only approach now. State level is the only thing. In fact, that's how they all want it now, because they don't want to have the headache of, oh man, we just made AB5 and Uber and Lyft created a Prop 22 nationwide, because Prop 22 looked pretty in a box, but it's not pretty, and it's screwing a lot of people over. And now they're going to have a union in the new. So it's like one state can't follow the other, because some states take things way too far. Some states don't want to touch it. So, but we can talk to people in every state. See, some people say to me, well, if it's not a blue state, it's not worth it. It is, because right to work and all that, that's all great. I'm not trying to touch on any of that stuff. But what I'm saying is, state by state, they're going to make the decision. And if we can go to them and approach them, the best part about it is, you got to remember that the union shills are out to push bad shit in all of our states. Red or blue, doesn't matter. They're out to push bad shit on all of our states. Okay. So, but if you can show politicians either before or after they've been approached by unions in a red or blue state, maybe they blew them off, they always keep records of everything. You can approach them, and our approach doesn't involve money. It just involves transparency. And when you can bring that transparency to their eyes as we're also defined as independent contractors, well, then they have to be transparent, is what every person we talk to when we get to it says. They say, well, wait a minute. You just said you want transparency on everything. You want to see all the details, and you have to because you're an independent contractor. And they define you as an independent. So they're getting better, but they're out of the loop in a little bit of the context. Once they find out that every TOS says we're an independent contractor, these lawmakers are, and they're like, wait, and your idea doesn't involve money, just that you are demanding that independent contractor rights be applied to you since you're being called one and defined as one by this company. Yeah, we got no problem with that. That's what it comes down to. Plus, it doesn't involve money. Then when the union shows come, because even if the union says, hey, every driver in your state wants this, we tell them when we talk to them, no, they don't. Take whatever number those stupid union shills tell you, multiply it by at least 100, if not 1,000. And that's where you're really at with nobody wants to be a W-2 employee for these companies. And if you do, please put 3 thumbs up in the comments right now, and I'll bring you up here right now. Not to razz you, just I'm very curious to know why you'd want to be a W-2 employee for minimum wage running your vehicle into the ground with no hope of getting above that floor meets ceiling, because that's exactly what you're talking about. Thank you, Christopher Taylor. Appreciate you, my friend, as always. What is hey, what's up, Richard? What Uber is doing now with high tip orders will drop base pay to extremely. I think, Richard, you've been listening to my podcast for long enough, man. Like, I think that I'm not a big fan of the. I honestly think everything's bait and switch. First of all, we all know this, but I'm not a big fan of base pay. I know that you guys won't like hearing this, but it was what was it, 6 at one time, then 4, then 2, and it's never going back to 6 or whatever. But I was never a fan, because if we're true independent contractors, then just have it be a bid for service. I'm not saying that a simplistic way, like, do you want it in 10 minutes? Do you want it within 30 minutes? Do you want it within an hour? Which would be a different payment to get it at a different speed. So if you want it in 10 minutes, that's going to be the most expensive. You can still tip too, but it's a bid on service. And if they're line iteming it correctly, that's how it should be. Because why is there a base pay from and hear me out. Why is there a base pay? Why does the base pay matter? Because here in Colorado, everything has to be line item now. So if I see in there total pay, tip, and then after the fact, you get to see everything, taxes, and you see what the customer paid. So you get to see everything. Why do I want to see that anything? Why should there be another line item to the customer that says DoorDash delivery fee $5, of which we get 2, and they're scamming around? But why should that even be another line item? Just have a way of bumping it up. They already do anyway with the tip on the last screen, and you're not going to get it, kind of thing. But just have a way of saying, hey, here's and again, it's time oriented too, so it's almost like a surge. 2:00 on a Tuesday is not going to be the same 3 intervals on a bid on service as 6:00 on a Friday would. You would do that accordingly. And the people that are like, I don't tip, or I'm not going to tip, there would have to be some kind of flat bottom rate base pay. But that would go into a category of, hey, the platform's pretty busy right now. We suggest you pick one of the other 3 options. Otherwise, we will notify you when your order has been taken, and just leave it out there on like an open board. Because no tip orders should be on an open board. That's people looking for, that's people looking to get a luxury service and not pay the person doing the work. So, I mean, those people should be pushed back a little bit. Expedite. Wait, what's this? Where's Lou? I get confused here. So, Steve, Expedite pay through Parano. No, kind of. And then I'll jump back to this. Expedite pay. So delivered tech became Expedite. I talk to Chris Barnes several times a week. We're always talking about the app. I tell him all kinds of things that I see and hear. He's been on the podcast many times. You guys know this. After they made Expedite, Delivered Tech will be launching some other services in the new year. Expedite had to create a company for payment, or yes, on the payment through Para, yes, but you got to hear why. So the Expedite created a company called Gigi. You've probably seen the name. Gigi facilitates pay, and it also facilitates background checks. GigSafe, which is what Para has become, GigSafe. GigSafe does real background checks, not checker background checks. Not the deepest of deep either, but deep, like David's aware, and they do better background checks. So they're getting Expedite real information. Yes, this is a real person, and yeah, this is better than. So they're getting a better background check, and GigSafe helps expedite the pay through Gigi. So Gigi's kind of like under the delivered tech company umbrella where Expedite is, and Para has a small piece of it, kind of thing, if that makes sense. Para GigSafe. So it sounds like there's 6 different companies in the cookie jar, but there's not. There's 2 companies who work really well together. And so what happened if no one takes the order? Should the customer get a refund because they don't want to tip the driver? I don't think they should be, Richard, I don't think they should be charged until the order is taken. Like, it should be that kind of, I mean, if you guys are thinking that's insane, no, systems like this exist. If you don't pay enough, like, sorry guys, it's like waiting on a table on a Friday night. Like, maybe you'll get seated. I don't know. We're booked. If we have a room, we'll slip you in. It's like that. It's almost like it would be on the board. It wouldn't be sent out to everybody and boomerang back $2, $2, $2. It would be like the $2 no tip orders. Again, it would look even weirder because it would probably be like a $5. But then you'd take away the delivery fee on the DoorDash statement, and you would just have the driver picking it, and it would be a delivery fee that goes right to the driver. And if you're thinking, well, why the hell would DoorDash do that? Because DoorDash is getting nailed across the board for all their line items as it is. So if they were known for whatever you pay the driver is between you and the driver, would go a long way. I can tell you between all the lawmakers I've spoken with. Yeah. And I know what you mean, Jersey, because it says Para. I think it says Para Inc. GigSafe when you get paid, or Para Gigi, maybe. I don't know. Yes, their name is on it. Should the restaurant eat the cost? So this is what I want to end with today. I know I've talked about it a few times, you guys, but I do want to talk about it one more time. So real quickly, we'll head on this. I want to tell you guys what's happened in Boulder. And I want to tell you guys again, don't miss this. Take a screenshot, do what you got to do. But on Monday, January 12th, do not miss Rideshare Rodeo Podcast with the Big Red F restaurant group out of Boulder. Why? Right? Why? Big Red F in Boulder owns 5 of Boulder's best restaurants. Boulder has a population of 109,000 people, residents year round. They have a huge campus, University of Colorado Boulder. And so 9 months out of the year, they have students too. The Boulder County, which isn't huge, and people from Gun Barrel, Louisville, all these places, they do go to Boulder when they want to dine out. So Boulder's a very strange, unique place, but the Boulder County has 327,000 people. I just showed you Big Red F. The guy in the picture is Dave. Dave and at the time, a guy named Beaver were my bosses when I bartended in Boulder from 1998 to 2001. So when I bartended in Boulder for those 3 years, Beaver was my boss and Dave Query was his partner. They owned Big Red F. Rest in peace, Beaver. He passed away. West End is a great bar. It's a great locals bar. They own some of the best places in town. So 2 years ago, David and I were doing some ParaWorks projects, and I brought this to David because I had talked to Dave, and he had said, yo, how do we get out from under these gig apps? I don't want to use them anymore, period. So we were actually working on something through ParaWorks. Can we bring together some Boulder drivers to make sure they're covered for their orders? And we were trying to get that worked out, and that's when it turned into GigSafe. So it was like the last project, and it kind of got abandoned. Now, Dave and I had already been talking. So do I have the screenshots? I sure hope I do. It's a lot easier if I just read this short thing that came out in the Daily Camera. And you guys should know this. And even if you've heard it, you should hear it again because it's that big of a deal. So this was an article from the Daily Camera. It's very short. And I just want to read it to you guys because that's the main paper in Boulder. And it came out last week. So last Tuesday, not only did this article come out, this went into effect that day. Every few days, I ignore an Uber Eats offering $15 of free food. One reason, it is not free. As Uber Eats notes, restaurants with limited tracking excluded taxes, delivery fee, and service fees still apply. I prefer eating in restaurants or getting takeout, But sometimes I have the necessity, this is the guy writing the article, obviously, necessity forces me to use a delivery app. I'm stunned by the price tag, and the delivery ETAs are almost always wrong. Next, I expect these third-party apps to start charging higher prices for delivery during peak hours, just like ride-sharing apps. That's why a recent announcement from Boulder's Big Red F Restaurant Group caught my eye. Big Red F Restaurant Group, who I worked for, these big 5 of the biggest restaurants in Boulder, and then they have Jack's Fish House here in Denver and in Colorado Springs too. So they actually have 7, and they are the largest restaurant group in Colorado as well. So this is a quote. As of today, this is last Tuesday. As of today, you will no longer find Big Red F restaurants on DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub. Delivery platforms are bad for small business, for small independent restaurants. The fees are simply too high. According to Chef Dave Query, Big Red F, the guy I've been talking about, owner, this guy who will be on the podcast on January 12th, according to Dave Query, his quote, "We really went hard into the third-party delivery this year." They had been over the other years too, especially at the Post, one of the restaurants in Boulder, on DoorDash and Grubhub. At the end of the day, it's just bad revenue. Quote from Dave Query. And still in that quote, we were up 30% fees per order, and it is just not sustainable, he said. Now, this is what we were talking about before with Dave Query, and it wasn't as bad. So Big Red F is now Oh, wait, I almost missed the good part. DoorDash, this is still his quote. DoorDash and Uber Eats lost billions of dollars until last year or so. They climbed to profitability on the backs of their restaurant clients and all of their guests. Big Red F is now offering delivery through the websites of individual restaurants. Guests order everything in the same way they always did. So before I tell you this kicker part, if you want West End, if you want Centro, if you want the Post, whatever, or any of their restaurants, if you want Jack's Fish House, whichever you want, you go to the website, and they have to be removed from DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. You go to the website, and you are now going to be ordering right from their menu and their menu prices, not the 30% markup before service fees and taxes that scumbaggery DoorDash does. So at Big Red F, you will be paying for your food by ordering it from Big Red F. Whether it's a $10 order or a $1,000 order, the delivery fee is $4.99 and goes directly from Big Red F to the driver. You heard me right, and it's going to make sense in a minute. This will obviously have people, especially in Boulder, but I think in most cities, tipping much bigger because they're going to see, wait, how come the food that I've been getting just went down 30%? They're going to notice that drop immediately. That's one of the biggest things. And so then you order it through the restaurant you want it for, $10,000 worth of food, $4.99, and you pay off menu prices. And then guess what? DoorDash assigns a driver to Big Red F to go deliver the food. So DoorDash, so on the website it says delivered by DoorDash, but you're being paid directly from Big Red F. DoorDash, and I was assured of this through Dave, DoorDash does not receive 1 penny for the offers done through Big Red F, but they provide the drivers for free. Why? Because otherwise, all the apps have to explain to everybody in Boulder why the 5 best restaurants there are no longer available. Now, that was on Tuesday. On Thursday, Dave got three other huge restaurants. He's already got them all in line, but he got 3 other huge restaurants to say they want off the DoorDash platform by midnight the following day. On Friday, he got 2 more that he's working with this week to get off. All the restaurants are moving off DoorDash, and they're demanding this. This is a great trend. I don't know. DoorDash is doing this because they're still hoping on the college business, the Denny's, the McDonald's, the few things they'll still have on the app. And they know that drivers will make more money now, but they won't. But drivers will also see a payment from Big Red F for all the deliveries that they're doing from the restaurants that aren't on DoorDash. They'll just be delivering for them. Some drivers might not pick up on it or care right away. They might notice their deposit was made, and they might just say, I'm just making more money. This is great. But most drivers are going to see, here's my DoorDash deposit, and here's a Big Red F one. Oh, that's the rest of my money. And also, they know which restaurants are Big Red F. It's a very weird thing, but DoorDash was put into a position, and that's why I made a short. I don't know if I brought it here, but I brought it to TikTok where I said, Boulder just made DoorDash their bitch, because they did. They did. I mean, we've all had ideas about how to compete or have another company, or how do you bring another company. They literally just said, you know what? Let's not do any of that. Let's do our job, sell our product at our price, give a fair delivery fee, give the drivers the full fucking tip. And you know what? Let's make DoorDash deliver it for free, or else explain to their clients, because the threat used to be, well, where are you going to get the drivers? They don't need to, because you have them DoorDash, and without them, you're dead in Boulder. And if that story gets out, because the story's going to get out anyway, but if that story were to get out, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub leave Boulder, that story will kill you because it's a college town. The last thing that you need happening right now, because taking on Denver, for instance, a million-plus city, that's a lot tougher. But you take on a college town, other college towns will follow. Because Dave and Big Red F, I've talked with many restaurant owners. I used to be in that field forever. Dave and other restaurant owners are fed up. You guys, let's do the math before we call this quits tonight. Because if Dave, the restaurant owner, is saying, listen, you're upcharging my food items 30%. This is bullshit. I'm not doing it anymore. So this is always what I've said. They're ripping off everybody. They started with the driver, of course. Then they started ripping off the customer, and then the restaurant partners. Well, the restaurant partner, if the restaurant partner is losing 30% on all of those sales, I can tell you the food game and the restaurant game is a cutthroat industry where those margins are very tight anyway. You can't afford to lose another 30% food cost. You can't. That's why he's out. That's why others are out. They got to get back to profitability. So you're taking 30% from the restaurant partner. We know on average, this is on average, and again, a study was done for a 2-year period. It was, I think it was 2021 to 2023, but I would imagine it's still, if anything, I know that it's worse in some cities. I can't imagine it's any better in some. But we know that if the customer were to go into the restaurant and buy the food they're ordering on any given day, on any given restaurant, buy it and take it home themselves, using DoorDash or other third-party apps, you are paying 130 to 170 plus % that you would pay going to pick it up yourself. All said and done. Delivery fee, upcharging of menu items, blah, 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 blah. So restaurants getting kicked 30% in the ass. Customers getting ripped off, coming up on 200%. Drivers getting paid the least they've ever been paid, and complete fake autonomous and complete fake robotics and everything else. It is nothing but show. Because even if they were ready, the dots are 110 grand. Serve robotics are 40. They have lifespans of 3 years. I don't know about the dots, but Waymos are $500,000. You can't do $2 no tip orders in Waymos, guys. They're trying it in Phoenix. It's just a PR stunt. If the driver can't make any money, if the customer's paying twice as much, and if the restaurant's getting ripped off, the system, it's already been, you've expanded the rubber band as far as you can. It's about to snap. And instead of it snapping, there is a push right now from Big Red F going on. And by the way, there's another restaurant group. We will be talking about it hopefully next week. There's another restaurant group in Ann Arbor, Michigan that is going to be following this exact same playbook. They are great friends with Dave, and they're about to do the same thing to DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub and kick their ass out of town. And then they're going to tell DoorDash to deliver for free. It's not a trend yet, guys. It's not viral, but it started. We're not talking about something coming in the new year. This started last Tuesday. Dave said he will never go back on the platforms, and I believe him. I've known Dave a long time. I've known him for, over 25 years. And he just wants to get his businesses back on track. That's it. And he also doesn't want to, he doesn't want to see customers ripped off. He doesn't want to hear about drivers getting screwed. He's been in the game long enough. He's been with Big Red F for over 30 years. I mean, they started it over 30 years ago. So you understand sometimes that happens. But so he doesn't want any of that to happen. But at the same time, he's at a point of, dude, I got to save my business. I can no longer use these apps and make any money at all. They're cutting into the profit I make in the restaurant. And that's what we'll be talking about when Dave comes on this podcast, because you know what? It's nothing but fact. So you guys, until Thursday, we'll be here for Roundtable. We got Kim, we got Gary, and Tom Kelly. We'll have Acacia, Cheyenne, I think this week, and then we have the last week. But like I told you, we got a lot of things going on. I really appreciate you guys coming by and hanging out and chatting, and I love all the questions and thank you very much. And again, don't miss this. Don't miss this. And we'll see you back here next time on the rodeo.
Well, just a humble cowboy. I don't drive no truck or tractor. But when it comes to rideshare, I'm a legendary factor. I'm Steve from the Rideshare Rodeo. I know the roads like my kin, helping all them drivers out there make that mileage spin. From Nashville to LA, I've seen it all, my friend. Late nights and early mornings, driving till the daylight ends. I've heard all the stories, shared a laugh or two with them rideshare cowboys out there hustling for their due. Saddle up, my friends, it's time to ride. The Rideshare Rodeo, changing lives. We navigate the highways through the city lights ablaze.